When a painfully average office worker mixes up his bag with a real spy's, he's suddenly hunted by criminals, investigated by his HR department, and somehow becomes the nation's most incompetent secret agent, all before lunch break. It started like every other painfully normal Monday in Leonard Vale's life, slow, repetitive, and powered entirely by caffeine and dread. He stood in line at his usual coffee shop, beam me up, scrolling through emails that all said the same thing, per my last message. His highlight of the morning was a loyalty stamp away from a free muffin. That was the height of excitement. Until a man in a dark suit brushed past him, dropped a sleek black briefcase, and said in a low voice, "Handle with care. They're watching." Leonard blinked. What? But the man was already gone. The barista called, "Large Americano for Leonard," and, being the simple creature he was, Leonard grabbed the coffee, picked up the nearest black briefcase, and went to work, completely unaware that he'd just ruined several people's day in the intelligence community. By 9:07 a.m., he was back at the office, in cubicle 3B, the Bermuda Triangle of ambition. His co-workers barely noticed him except when the printer jammed. His boss, Evelyn Trent, walked past, shouting into her phone like she was running a hedge fund instead of a mid-tier marketing firm. "Synergy, people. I want synergy by end of day." Leonard muttered under his breath, "Yeah, let me just summon some from the void." He set the briefcase by his desk and started typing his daily report. That's when Sierra from HR appeared. She was usually cheerful, but today her smile was off. "Morning, Leonard," she said, her tone oddly formal. "Everything okay?" "Yeah." "Why?" "Oh, no reason. Just noticing you came in with a new briefcase." Leonard looked down at it. "This? Oh yeah. Fancy, right? Got tired of my old one falling apart like my career." Sierra didn't laugh. She just nodded, eyes narrowing slightly. "Interesting choice." And she walked away. Weird. But things got weirder. By noon, half the office was glancing his way. Conversation stopped when he passed. The intern whispered, "That's him," and someone from accounting saluted him. Leonard tried to brush it off until his computer suddenly restarted mid-email. A message popped up on the screen. "System update initiated by a department, do not shut down." Then another window flashed briefly before disappearing. "Tracking protocol active." Leonard frowned. What the hell is tracking protocol? He leaned back and said to himself, "Okay, maybe I'm finally losing it." But at lunch, it got even stranger. While eating his sad sandwich in the break room, two men in suits walked in. They weren't from his office, too polished, too serious. They spoke quietly but kept looking his way. One of them held a phone to his ear and murmured, "Target has the case." Leonard froze mid-bite. "Target who?" They both turned to look at him. He nervously raised his hand. "Hey, are you guys with corporate? Because I definitely filled out my timesheet this week." They didn't laugh. They just left. Leonard slowly put his sandwich down. Right. Totally normal lunch. Everyone gets stalked by men in suits at least once. Back at his desk, the briefcase seemed to hum with mystery. Maybe it was his imagination, maybe it was caffeine hallucination, but either way, curiosity started itching in his brain. He leaned closer. "Okay, what are you hiding, you ominous little rectangle?" He hesitated. He wasn't a snoop. But he also wasn't a hero, and somehow those two things evened out into guy who opens the suspicious briefcase. He flicked the locks. Click. And froze again. Inside was not the mess of paperwork he expected. Instead, neatly stacked, were bundles of unmarked bills, a phone with no SIM card, and a slim file labeled, Operation Silvertongue, deliver by noon. Leonard blinked. Then again. Then said aloud, "Oh, great. I joined the mafia." He slammed it shut just as Sierra walked by again, pretending to refill her water. Their eyes met. She smiled too sweetly. "Everything all right, Leonard?" "Yep. Totally fine. Just doing, office stuff." "Good," she said, eyes flicking to the case. "Keep it safe. You never know who's watching." She left, heels clicking ominously. Leonard stared at the door, then at the briefcase. Then at the security camera above his cubicle. Yeah, okay. This is definitely not about spreadsheets anymore. He took a deep breath, grabbed his coffee, and muttered. If this is how adulthood ends, I'm billing overtime. By the end of the day, Leonard noticed the same two men in suits parked outside his office. The same car. Same tinted windows. He sighed. Cool. I'm being stalked by IRS agents or assassins. Could go either way. He thought about calling the police, but what would he even say? Hi, I accidentally stole a spy's lunchbox and now I'm a person of interest? So he decided on plan B, which was no plan at all. He'd go home, lock the door, and pretend the briefcase never existed. But as he stepped into the elevator, his phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You have what's ours. Don't open it again." He froze. Looked around. No one else was there. Then another text came through. "You have until tomorrow at noon." The elevator doors closed slowly as the lights flickered overhead. Leonard sighed, half terrified, half annoyed. "Fantastic," he muttered. "It's not even Tuesday yet." Leonard didn't sleep that night. He lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling, running through every possible scenario. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe those men were from corporate security. Or maybe he was about to be kidnapped by the world's politest secret agency. At 2 a.m., he even Googled, what to do if you accidentally steal spy briefcase, but all he got were Reddit threads suggesting he was already dead. By 6:30, he gave up on sleep, shaved badly, and convinced himself the whole thing would blow over if he just acted normal. Normal, however, died the moment he entered the office. The receptionist gave him a nervous smile and whispered something into her headset. 2 interns froze mid-conversation when he passed. Even the janitor gave him a slow nod, like 2 soldiers acknowledging each other in battle. Leonard muttered, "What is this, The Truman Show, tax season edition?" At his cubicle, the briefcase sat exactly where he'd left it, except now it looked like it was staring back. He opened his computer to start work and froze. A new icon sat on his desktop, confidential / do not open. He stared at it for a full minute before saying, "Well, obviously, I'm going to open it." He double-clicked. A black screen appeared with a single line of text. "Welcome, Agent Vale." Then the monitor glitched, and his webcam light blinked on. He yelped, covering the camera with a sticky note. "Nope. No thank you, CIA." He looked around, everyone pretending to work, but way too obviously pretending. Sierra from HR was at the water cooler again, stealing glances every 5 seconds. He walked over. "Hey, Sierra. Quick question. Why does IT think I'm an agent? Did you guys install some kind of spy software?" She tilted her head, smiling faintly. "Leonard, some people think you're involved in something." "Involved?" She leaned in. "There were reports you met someone at a cafe yesterday morning." "Oh my god, you people keep records of that?" "Not usually," she said smoothly. "Unless that person's been flagged by security." Leonard blinked. "Flagged for what?" She smiled again, too calm. "You tell me, Agent Vale." And she walked away. By noon, his nerves were shot. He kept spotting the 2 men in suits outside the building, always the same black car, same tinted windows. And inside, everyone was acting like the break room was a surveillance hub. When he went to refill his coffee, the IT guy Vince cornered him near the vending machine. "Leonard," Vince whispered, "they know." Leonard nearly spilled his cup. "Who knows what?" "The operation. The one you're running from Cubicle 3B. I'm running a marketing report." Vince leaned closer. "That's exactly what a spy would say." Leonard stared at him. "No, that's exactly what a marketer would say." Vince nodded sagely. Sure. Keep the act up. Just know, HR's been monitoring your emails. And I saw a memo, something about internal breach detection. Leonard blinked. "You saw a memo? Where?" Vince hesitated. "Okay, technically it was a meme, but it looked serious." Leonard sighed. Unbelievable. He decided to get some air. He stepped outside, clutching his coffee and trying to convince himself he wasn't being followed. But he was. The 2 men in suits trailed him down the sidewalk, keeping their distance but not even trying to be subtle. Leonard turned a corner and ducked into an alley which, in hindsight, was exactly what a real spy would do, making this worse. One of the men called out, "Mr. Vale." He froze. "Please don't run." He immediately ran. He darted through a side street, over a fence, and nearly collided with a delivery guy. He heard one of the men shout, "We just need the case." Leonard yelled back, "It's full of money and bad decisions, you can have it." But he tripped on his own shoelaces and crashed into a dumpster. The briefcase popped open again, cash spilling out. A homeless man nearby whistled. "Damn, son. You laundering or kidnapping?" "Neither." Leonard groaned, stuffing bills back inside. "I'm just confused." Before he could recover, the men caught up. One flashed a badge. Federal Intelligence Division. "Step away from the case." "Wait, Federal? I didn't even know we had one of those." The agent said, "We've been tracking this briefcase for weeks. You have something very sensitive in there." Leonard pointed at the file. You mean this thing? Operation Silvertongue? Yeah, I was planning to return it to whoever left it. The agent held up a hand. Not another word. We're taking it from here. Leonard blinked. Oh. Cool. Please do. But before the agent could grab it, a sleek black car screeched to a halt at the end of the alley. A man stepped out tall, cold-eyed, and terrifyingly calm. He said, "No one moves." The agents froze. Leonard whispered, "Who's this guy? IRS Deluxe?" The newcomer's gaze locked on Leonard. "You have something that belongs to me." Leonard sighed. "Great. Another one. Can I interest you all in forming a queue?" The man walked closer, silent, assessing. "You opened it?" Define opened. You saw the contents?" Leonard swallowed. "Theoretically, maybe." The man exhaled through his nose. "Then congratulations, Mr. Vale. You're officially part of this operation." Leonard blinked. "What?" "Too late to back out now." The man picked up the briefcase and nodded to the agents. "These men work for me. You're coming with us." Leonard stepped back. "Yeah, no. I have a 2 p.m. meeting about quarterly metrics." The man smirked faintly. "Not anymore. As of this moment, you're under protective custody." Leonard stared. "Protective from who?" The man said, "Everyone who now thinks you're me." Leonard froze. "Wait. You're the real spy?" "Agent Drake," he said, extending a hand. "And you, unfortunately, are my decoy." Leonard stared at the hand like it was radioactive. "Oh, perfect. I'm gonna die in khakis." Drake gave the smallest nod to his men. "Let's move. They're already on to us." Leonard hesitated, still holding his coffee. "Can I at least finish this first?" Drake looked at him. "We have 5 minutes before surveillance satellites pick up our signal." Leonard took one long sip. "Yeah, that tracks." He followed them out of the alley, muttering to himself. "I swear, if HR counts this as a sick day, I'm suing." Leonard Vale's brain was not built for international espionage. It was built for remembering printer codes, debating coffee loyalty programs, and occasionally fixing a typo in a memo before anyone noticed. So naturally, sitting in the back seat of a black government car, surrounded by men who looked allergic to smiling, he was falling apart inside. He'd been quiet for about 6 minutes. Then, as the silence stretched unbearably long, he said, "So, this is fun. Is this like, an Uber Black or?" Agent Drake didn't look up from his tablet. "Quiet, Vale." Sure, Leonard mumbled. "Just trying to lighten the mood. Feels a bit murdery in here." The agent beside him, one of the men in suits, adjusted his earpiece and muttered, "ETA 5 minutes. Leonard blinked. "ETA to what? My funeral?" Drake finally turned to him, expression unreadable. "Headquarters." "Oh. Cool. Definitely prefer that to shallow grave in Jersey." The car screeched to a halt outside an unmarked building that looked like it sold insurance or housed every government secret ever. Inside, there were hallways too white, lights too bright, and people who all walked with the same purposeful stride that screamed, "We know something you don't." Leonard followed Drake into a small, sterile room with a table, a file scanner, and more cameras than a reality show. Drake set the briefcase down. "Sit." Leonard obeyed, hands on the table. "Listen, I just want to say, I think you've got the wrong guy. I'm not spy material. I hyperventilate when Excel freezes." Drake ignored him and opened the case. The others stepped closer, watching. Inside, the cash, the unmarked phone, and the file labeled Operation Silvertongue. Drake slid it out, opened it, and frowned. "This isn't our file." Leonard blinked. "Excuse me?" Drake flipped through the pages, most were blank, except for one that had a single sentence. "The canary sings at midnight." He looked up. "Who gave you this?" Leonard threw his hands up. "Some random guy at a coffee shop." He dropped it, said something dramatic about being watched, and then poof, gone. "I thought it was just Monday." Drake's jaw tightened. "You didn't think to check what was inside before bringing it to work?" "I did. Eventually. And then people started treating me like Jason Bourne's accountant." Drake pinched the bridge of his nose. "This phrase, 'the canary sings at midnight,' is a code phrase. Whoever said it to you was expecting a response." Leonard blinked. "And what response would that be?" "Cool, I'm just here for caffeine?" Drake's look could have curdled milk. He gestured for one of his men to run a scan on the briefcase. The agent attached a small device that beeped quietly, then flashed red. Tracker signal embedded. Someone's been following this case since the switch. Leonard froze. Following it, how closely? Closely enough, Drake said. They might already know who you are. Leonard's voice cracked. Oh, great. Maybe they'll endorse me on LinkedIn for Espionage. They brought up security footage from the cafe. The screen flickered to show Leonard grabbing his coffee, then the mysterious man leaving the briefcase behind. Drake slowed the footage. There. He zoomed in, the man's face partially visible, sharp jaw, dark glasses. That's him, Leonard said. The guy who ruined my life between sips of espresso. Drake studied the image. His name's Mason Trill. Ex-operative. Went rogue months ago. Leonard frowned. Rogue as in, dangerous? As in will sell state secrets for Bitcoin, Drake said flatly. Oh, neat. So I'm now holding the international criminals carry-on. Wonderful. Drake's phone buzzed. He answered, listening intently. Copy that. Understood. He hung up. We've got movement. Someone tried accessing your office computer remotely. The same encrypted signal tied to this file. Leonard's mouth dropped. Wait, my office? You mean the one full of people who already think I'm 007's nervous cousin? Yes. Which means whoever Trill's working with is probably inside your company. Leonard blinked. You're saying my office is part of a spy ring? Drake nodded. Either knowingly or unknowingly. Your briefcase blunder might have exposed an internal mole. Leonard leaned back, muttering, I just wanted a paycheck in dental. An hour later, Drake handed Leonard a secure phone and a new ID badge with his photo and the word consultant. Leonard squinted at it. Consultant? That's my spy name? It's your cover, Drake said. You're going back to the office tomorrow. You'll act normal, but report anything suspicious directly to me. Leonard laughed nervously. Act normal? My coworkers already think I assassinated the intern's stapler. Drake ignored that. Keep the briefcase. They'll expect you to have it. If anyone approaches you, stall them. Stall them how? Tell them we're out of toner? Do whatever you have to, Drake said, heading for the door. And Vale, don't open the file again. Leonard frowned. Wait, why? Drake looked back, tone dead serious. Because every time someone does, someone dies. The room went silent. Leonard stared at the closed door long after Drake left, then whispered to himself, cool. Totally fine. Love that for me. He looked down at the briefcase on the table, its glossy surface reflecting the fluorescent lights, like an expensive Pandora's box. He sighed, muttering, well, guess I'm a spy now. Hope it comes with dental. But as he picked up the case, the corner of one of the blank pages inside the folder caught the light, revealing faint, invisible writing beneath the surface. Leonard leaned closer. The words slowly appeared, scribbled in thin invisible ink. You're not the decoy. You're the key. Leonard blinked once. Twice. Then exhaled sharply. Oh, perfect. I'm important now. That's always how people die in movies. He stuffed the papers back inside, slumped into the chair, and whispered. If anyone asks, I'm on sick leave. At 9 a.m., he walked into the office wearing a slightly too stiff blazer, sunglasses indoors, and a suspiciously perfect hairpart. Sierra from HR took one look at him and said, oh good, you've fully lost it. Leonard took off the glasses. I'm blending in. She raised an eyebrow. You look like you're auditioning for Men in Black, Accountant Division. Good, he said flatly. That's exactly the vibe. Everything felt off. The usual coffee chatter was gone, replaced by cautious whispers. The printer made a noise that sounded like Morse code, which, in Leonard's current paranoia, probably was. Even the motivational poster reading Teamwork Builds Success looked like it was judging him. Vince from IT leaned over their cubicle wall. So, Agent Vale, he whispered, any updates from headquarters? Leonard glared. Vince, if you keep calling me that, I'll report you to HR. Buddy, Vince said seriously, HR is the agency. Leonard opened his mouth to argue, but Sierra appeared behind Vince like a jump scare. Leonard, she said sweetly. Got a minute? He sighed. Do I have a choice? Not really, she said, motioning toward her office. Inside, Sierra closed the blinds and leaned against her desk. You've been acting strange lately. Even for you. Leonard forced a laugh. Oh, I don't know, maybe because everyone's been watching me like I'm about to launch nukes from Excel? Then maybe you can explain this. She pulled out a printed photo, grainy, black and white, clearly taken from a security camera. It showed Leonard in the cafe, holding the briefcase. Leonard froze. Where did you get that? Anonymous email. Sent to me and corporate security. He rubbed his face. Perfect. I'm an office meme now. Sierra folded her arms. What's really going on, Leonard? He hesitated. Drake's voice echoed in his head, tell no one. But she looked genuinely concerned, not just curious. He lowered his voice. Okay, promise not to freak out? Can't promise that. Fine. But, you know that briefcase? Her eyes narrowed. The one you guard like it's the Holy Grail? Yeah, that one. So, turns out it belongs to a spy. She stared at him. A spy. Yup. And you, what, borrowed it? Accidentally. It's a long story. There was coffee. And panic. Sierra just blinked at him, processing. Leonard, are you sure this isn't one of your weird creative writing phases? Before he could answer, there was a knock at the door. It opened, and in walked Agent Drake. Suit. Sunglasses. That aura of someone who could end a life with a stapler. Sierra's face fell. Oh. My. God. You weren't kidding. Drake gave a curt nod. Ms. Quinn. Agent Drake. Federal Intelligence Division. She blinked. You guys actually exist? Not officially, he replied. Leonard whispered, that's comforting. Drake turned to him. We have a situation. Your office network was pinged again early this morning. Whoever's leaking data, they're close. Sierra frowned. Leaking data? What kind? Government communications, Drake said. Sensitive intel hidden in marketing reports. Leonard blinked. Wait, our marketing reports? We can't even hide typos properly. Apparently someone's been embedding encrypted data in your quarterly infographics. Sierra gasped. Oh my god, our PowerPoints are state secrets? Leonard groaned. And here I was worried about fonts. Drake motioned to both of them. You're my in. From now on, you'll act normal and report anything suspicious. The mole will contact you soon, Vale. The briefcase is bait. Sierra frowned. You're putting him in danger. Leonard nodded rapidly. Yeah, listen to the smart one. Drake turned to him, utterly calm. You've already been made, Vale. There's no turning back. Leonard stared. Made into what? A corpse? Before Drake could respond, his earpiece crackled. A voice came through, tense and muffled, we've got movement, north stairwell. Unidentified individual heading toward HR. Drake moved instantly, pulling his sidearm. Stay here. Leonard froze. Stay here? What if it's the guy with the gun? Then you'll have company. He left. Sierra turned to Leonard, wide-eyed. This is insane. Tell me about it, Leonard said. Yesterday, my biggest problem was my boss spelling strategy as tragedy. The building alarm suddenly blared. Red lights flashed. Drake's voice echoed over the intercom. Lockdown initiated. No one leaves. Sierra ran to the window. Down below, the two men in suits were blocking the exits. Leonard clutched the briefcase like it was a life raft. Okay, maybe this is all just a fire drill. A really, really elaborate one. Then the phone on Sierra's desk rang. Unknown number. She hesitated. Do I answer? Leonard nodded. If it's tech support, tell them the Wi-Fi's haunted. She picked it up. Hello? A distorted voice replied, low and mechanical. The canary sings at midnight. Leonard froze. Oh no. Nope. Not again. Sierra whispered, what does that mean? He grabbed the phone. Listen, buddy, I don't know what kind of bird nonsense this is, but I'm. The voice interrupted. Bring the case to the roof. 10 minutes. Alone. Click. Leonard stared at the receiver, then at Sierra. I'm not going to the roof. She crossed her arms. Of course you're not. We're going together. Together? Have you met me? I trip over flat floors. She grabbed his arm. Come on, Agent Vale. Let's see who's singing at midnight. Leonard groaned as she dragged him toward the stairs. If I die up there, tell my boss I'm taking my vacation days posthumously. Up in the stairwell, the lights flickered. The sound of footsteps echoed above them. Leonard's heart thumped like a broken drum. Sierra whispered, you hear that? He nodded. Yeah, it's the sound of bad life choices catching up. They pushed open the door to the roof. Wind whipped across the concrete. And standing by the helipad, coat flapping dramatically, was Mason Trill, the rogue operative. He smiled when he saw them. "Ah, Mr. Vale. You made it." Leonard raised a trembling hand. "Hi. Just returning lost property. Please don't shoot." Trill smirked. "Oh, I won't. You're far too useful alive." From the shadows behind him, two men appeared armed. Sierra whispered, "Please tell me you have a plan." Leonard swallowed hard. "I do. It's called Panic. Then a gunshot rang out, but it wasn't aimed at them. One of Trill's men dropped instantly. From behind the roof vent, Drake emerged, gun drawn, voice cutting through the wind. "Step away from the case, Trill." Trill laughed. "Ah, Drake. Always one step behind." Leonard looked between them, bewildered. "I'm sorry, does anyone want this briefcase or should I put it on eBay?" Both ignored him. Then, Trill raised his weapon. "End of the line, Agent." Drake fired first, glass shattered, alarms blared, chaos erupted. Sierra ducked, dragging Leonard behind a vent. Leonard screamed, "This is the worst lunch break ever." When the smoke cleared, Trill was gone, vanished into the chaos, leaving behind only a single shell casing and the faint smell of cologne. Drake lowered his weapon. "He won't get far." Leonard peeked out. "Good. Maybe he'll find a new victim at Starbucks." Drake gave him the deadly serious stare again. "He's after something bigger, Vale. And you're in the center of it." Leonard sighed. "Why?" "I literally just wanted caffeine." Drake looked at the briefcase, then at him. "Because whatever he was after, he thinks you already have it." Leonard's jaw dropped. "And do I?" Drake's voice was quiet, grim. "We're about to find out." The next morning, Leonard Vale walked into the office with a newfound swagger, the kind only a man who'd been shot at could fake. He'd spent the night replaying the rooftop chaos in his head. The gunshots, the smoke, the smell of burning printer toner. And now here he was, back under fluorescent lights, holding a lukewarm cup of coffee labeled "World's Okayest Employee." "Agent Vale returns," Vince from IT said, rolling his chair toward him. "Any classified memos today?" Leonard deadpanned. "Yeah, my TPS report is now a federal document." Sierra leaned on the cubicle wall, whispering. "Drake texted me this morning. They intercepted some suspicious data coming from inside our network again." Leonard blinked. "What do you mean again?" "This place barely sends emails without a typo." "Exactly," she said. "That's what makes it suspicious." The whole office was on edge. People whispered in the break room like they were planning a coup. The copy machine was jammed again, probably sabotaged, Leonard thought dramatically. Even HR meetings felt like interrogation rooms now. At 10 a.m., Mr. Holden, the CEO, called for a quick all-hands meeting. Everyone gathered in the conference room, pale walls, flickering lights, and that faint smell of existential despair. Holden cleared his throat. "Team, I've been informed that our data has been compromised. Someone's been leaking company information." Murmurs filled the room. One intern whispered, "Maybe it's AI." Another said, "Or Karen from accounting. She's too quiet." Leonard looked at Sierra. "I bet the printer did it." Holden continued, "Until further notice, IT will be monitoring all communications." Vince raised his hand. "Does that include memes?" "Yes, Vincent. Especially memes." Vince groaned. "Then you might as well fire me now." After the meeting, Drake showed up in disguise, which, unfortunately, was just him wearing a baseball cap and pretending to be from maintenance. He pulled Leonard and Sierra into a storage room stacked with janitor supplies. "Listen," Drake said, lowering his voice. "Trill's group is still active. We think the mole is someone high up, possibly your CEO." Leonard blinked. "Holden? The guy who thought VPN stood for Very Personal Notebook?" Sierra frowned. "What proof do you have?" Drake showed them a tablet. On it was a list of encrypted files labeled under Holden's account, each one sent to an offshore server. Sierra gasped. "Oh my god, he really is evil." Leonard squinted. "Or, he's just bad at clicking the right email attachments." Drake ignored him. "We need to extract the full list of his communications. Vale, you'll install this on his computer." He handed Leonard a small flash drive with a glowing red light. Leonard held it like it was radioactive. "What is it?" "A data tracker," Drake said. "Just plug it in." Quietly. Leonard stared. "You want me to break into my boss's office? Do you realize I once got written up for stealing his stapler?" Sierra smirked. "Guess it's redemption time, 007. Sneaking into Halden's office sounded easier in theory. Leonard waited until lunch hour, heart pounding, palms sweaty, holding the flash drive like it was a grenade. He muttered to himself, "Okay, Leonard. Just act natural. You're not breaking the law, you're just bending it in the name of national security." He slid into the office quietly. The blinds were half drawn. The hum of the air conditioner was the only sound. He sat at the desk, wiggled the mouse, and plugged the drive in. The computer beeped. A message appeared. Transferring data. Do not remove device. Leonard held his breath. Then, the door creaked. He panicked, dove under the desk, and whispered, "Please be the janitor. Please be the janitor." It wasn't. He saw a pair of shiny shoes. Halden's voice filled the room. "Who's been touching my files?" Leonard's mind raced. He crawled deeper under the desk and whispered, "Not me, not me, not me." Halden sat down. The chair creaked. Leonard froze, literally inches from his knees. The flash drive still blinked red. Downloading. Halden sighed, sipping coffee. "If one more person forgets to label their folders, I'm firing everyone." Leonard mouthed silently, "Please don't look down." Finally, the progress bar hit 100%. Transfer complete. Safe to remove. Leonard reached up, hand trembling, and yanked it out just as Halden's phone rang. "Yeah," Halden said, answering. "The shipment's ready." "No, don't send it through customs. We'll handle it ourselves." Leonard's eyes widened. "Shipment? Customs?" Halden stood. "Good. Keep it quiet." He walked out, closing the door. Leonard exhaled for the first time in 5 minutes. He crawled out, muttering, "I swear, if I live through this, I'm demanding a raise and emotional support snacks." Back in the storage room, Drake plugged the flash drive into his tablet. Streams of data filled the screen. He nodded. "This is it. Proof of Halden's operation." Sierra asked, "Operation what?" Drake's jaw tightened. "He's been laundering intel through corporate shipments, hiding encrypted drives in office supplies. Every stapler, every paperclip box shipped overseas could be carrying classified data." Leonard frowned. "So you're saying, our office supplies are international criminals?" Sierra smacked his arm. "Leonard!" Drake looked at both of them. "Tonight, he moves the final batch. We catch him then, or he disappears." Leonard groaned. "Of course. Because why spend Friday night relaxing when you can go to federal prison by mistake?" That evening, the office was dark except for the loading dock lights. Halden arrived, briefcase in hand, not Leonard's briefcase, but one that looked identical. Drake whispered into his earpiece, "We're in position. Sierra, stay by the north door. Vale, with me." Leonard nodded, whispering, "I just want you to know I have zero survival skills." "Noted," Drake said dryly. They watched as Halden handed the briefcase to a courier. Drake moved fast, silent, weapon drawn. "Federal intelligence. Step away from the case." Halden spun, eyes wide. "What is this?" Leonard, following too closely, tripped over a cable and slammed right into the courier. The briefcase flew into the air in slow motion, papers, money, and a small hard drive scattering everywhere. Sierra ran in, shouting, "Stop them." Halden tried to flee, but Leonard, by pure panic, swung the empty coffee thermos in his hand, knocking him straight in the head. He collapsed. Drake stared at Leonard, stunned. "Did you just take down a federal fugitive with a thermos?" Leonard blinked. Yeah. Stainless steel. Limited edition." Moments later, agents swarmed the place. Halden was handcuffed, ranting about misunderstandings. The stolen data was secured. Drake nodded. "Nice work, Vale. You might have actually saved us all." Leonard exhaled, shaking. Cool, can I go home now?" Sierra smiled. "You did it, Leonard." He grinned weakly. "Yeah. Just another normal day in accounting." Drake smirked. "You're not out yet. Trill's still out there. But tonight, Halden's done." Leonard looked at the chaos, sirens flashing, and sighed. "Good. Because I think my heart rate has filed for early retirement." Leonard Vale woke up the next morning to the kind of news headline you only expect to see in fever dreams. "Local office worker takes down corporate criminal with thermos." He groaned into his pillow. "Oh, perfect. My 15 minutes of fame are sponsored by caffeine." He scrolled down, there was a blurry photo of him mid-panic, eyes wide, holding the thermos like a weapon. Someone on social media had captioned it. "When you're just trying to do your job but end up saving the nation." The comments section was a war zone. Half the internet thought he was a secret government agent. The other half thought it was an elaborate marketing stunt for a coffee brand. He dragged himself out of bed. Fantastic. I'm trending for accidental espionage. By 9 a.m., the office was in chaos. Reporters were camped outside. Co-workers were whispering in awe or fear. Vince waved him over. Bro, are you famous now? Should I start calling you 00 spreadsheet? Please don't, Leonard muttered. Sierra walked in, carrying 2 coffees. You might want to get used to it, Agent Vale. You're a meme, a legend, and possibly a national security risk. He rubbed his temples. That's my LinkedIn bio now. But before he could enjoy his accidental celebrity, Drake appeared, trench coat, sunglasses, eternal scowl. Vale. We need to talk. Leonard sighed. Is it about my tax forms? Because those are classified too. Drake ignored him. Trill's back. He hijacked one of the evidence vans last night. We tracked him, he pointed out the window, to your parking lot. Leonard froze. He's here? Looks like it, Drake said. And he's probably looking for something you still have. Leonard blinked. Oh, great. What is it now? My stapler? My will to live? Sierra frowned. You said he wanted the briefcase, right? Leonard hesitated. Yeah, about that. I might still have something from it. He opened his desk drawer and pulled out a small, unmarked flash drive. I thought it was a backup for my spreadsheets, he said weakly. Turns out it glows when you plug it in. Drake's face went rigid. That's not a spreadsheet, Vale. That's the decryption key. Leonard blinked. For what? The rest of Trill's data network, Drake said. He'll do anything to get it back. Before they could react, the building lights flickered. A loud thud echoed from the stairwell. Vince peeked out the door. There's a guy downstairs wearing tactical gear and holding what looks like a leaf blower? Sierra frowned. A what? Then came a deafening whoosh, papers flew everywhere, alarms blared, people screamed. Leonard ducked behind a cubicle. Oh my god, he's weaponized office maintenance. Drake pulled his pistol. Trill's using chaos to flush us out. Stay low. Leonard peeked over the cubicle. Can I stay lower? Like underground low? Trill's voice boomed through the office. Come out, Mr. Vale. You have something of mine. Leonard shouted back before thinking, I also have chronic anxiety, want to take that too? Sierra hissed, not helping. Drake motioned toward the emergency stairs. We move now. They dashed through the corridor, ducking under flying folders and rolling chairs. Vince yelled, take my snacks, not my hard drive. Leonard grabbed a chair as they ran. We're going to need this. Sierra gasped. For what? He pointed at the long hallway ahead. Trill's men were blocking the exit. Improvised vehicle. Before anyone could stop him, Leonard jumped onto the rolling chair, pushed off, and went flying down the hall, spinning wildly, screaming, this isn't how physics works. He crashed directly into one of the henchmen. Both went down hard, sliding into the photocopier, which immediately started printing random documents. Drake took out the other with precision shots to the ceiling, sprinklers burst open, water pouring down. The office became a slip and slide of chaos. Leonard stumbled to his feet, soaked. I just wanted a desk job. Sierra grabbed his arm. Move. They sprinted for the elevator, but Trill appeared calm, collected, holding the leaf blower like a rifle. He smirked. You've caused me a lot of trouble, Mr. Vale. Leonard raised his hands. Technically, trouble caused me. Trill stepped closer. Hand it over. Leonard glanced at Sierra, then at Drake. The flash drive felt like a hot coal in his pocket. Drake mouthed, stall him. So Leonard did what he did best, talk too much. You know, Trill, you could have just sent a calendar invite. Maybe titled it Steal Important Drive, Bring Snacks. Trill's jaw tightened. You think this is a joke? Leonard nodded. Honestly? A little bit, yeah. You're threatening people with a leaf blower. That split second of irritation was all Drake needed. He lunged, tackling Trill into a filing cabinet. The machine erupted papers, metal, chaos. Trill punched back, Drake countered, Sierra grabbed the drive from Leonard and dove for cover. Then Leonard, panicking, grabbed the nearest object, a full bottle of hand sanitizer, and flung it. It hit Trill square in the face. The alcohol splashed everywhere. The smell was instant and aggressive. Trill screamed, blinded. Drake cuffed him in seconds. Leonard froze, wide-eyed. Did I just defeat an international criminal with Puro? Drake looked at him, dead serious. You did. Don't ever tell anyone that. As agents swarmed in, dragging Trill away, Sierra grinned. That was impressive. Leonard laughed nervously. Yeah, totally part of my training program. Weapons of hygiene. Drake smirked. Well, Agent Vale, you've somehow survived every operation. Maybe you're not so accidental after all. Leonard looked at the wrecked office, soaked papers, and sparking computers. Yeah, tell that to my HR record. Sierra nudged him. Hey, at least you closed another case. He grinned weakly. Cool. Can I finally go back to pretending I know how to make spreadsheets? Drake nodded. For now. But something tells me this isn't over. Leonard sighed. It never is it? Outside, the sun broke through the storm. Reporters crowded the street as Leonard stepped out, dripping wet, exhausted, holding the broken thermos like a trophy. Flashes went off. Someone yelled, Mr. Vale. How does it feel to be a hero? He shrugged. Honestly? I just wanted a coffee. By Monday morning, the chaos had, mostly, died down. The office was still taped off like a crime scene, the carpet smelled like sanitizer and smoke, and Leonard Vale had officially decided he was done with heroism. He sat at his desk, the only one not completely destroyed, sipping what could barely be called coffee. Sierra leaned on the cubicle wall, smirking. You realize there's already fan art of you online, right? Leonard blinked. Fan art? Of me? Yeah. Someone drew you riding a swivel chair while holding a thermos like a sword. He groaned. I don't even like chairs anymore. They're trauma with wheels. Before he could spiral further, Drake entered, trench coat still on, sunglasses still ridiculous indoors. Vale, he said. We need to talk. Now. Leonard sighed. That's how all my problems start. They gathered in the conference room, still half-wrecked from the earlier chaos. The whiteboard still read Q3 productivity goals, now ironically next to bullet holes. Drake stood by the screen, tapping through encrypted files. Sierra sat next to Leonard, notebook open, curiosity burning. Drake began, Trill's data confirms Halden's smuggling operation. But there's more. He brought up a photo, surveillance footage. A woman handing off a package to Halden in the company parking lot. Sierra frowned. Who's that? Drake zoomed in. The image sharpened, revealing the face. Leonard squinted. Wait, is that Vera from accounting? Sierra finished, jaw-dropping. The one who brings cupcakes on Fridays? Drake nodded grimly. Vera didn't just bring cupcakes. She brought encrypted drives baked inside frosting containers. Leonard blinked. So the calories weren't the real danger? Drake ignored that. She was Halden's handler. The operation was larger than we thought, corporate espionage ring using everyday businesses as cover. Sierra shook her head. Unbelievable. Leonard frowned. Hold on, but why me? How did I get involved? Why the briefcase? Why the fake spy treatment? Drake hesitated, then brought up another image, security footage from the coffee shop the day of the mix-up. 2 identical briefcases. 2 identical jackets. One belonged to Drake's undercover operative. The other belonged to Leonard. Drake sighed. You were wearing the same jacket as our agent. He dropped the case while tailing Trill. You picked it up. Leonard blinked. So I got dragged into an international conspiracy, because of fashion coincidence? Drake nodded. Essentially. Leonard threw his hands up. I hate my life. Sierra laughed under her breath. You have to admit, it's kind of poetic. Poetic, he said. I've been shot at, chased with a leaf blower, and assaulted by a printer. Drake continued, that's not all. Trill wasn't working alone. He had a silent partner, someone feeding him intel the entire time. Leonard frowned. Please don't say it's Vince. I don't have the emotional strength. Drake clicked one final image. The room went silent. It was Drake himself, captured in a grainy photo, meeting with Halden weeks before the operation began. Sierra froze. That can't be real. Leonard blinked. Wait, you? The trench coat guy? You're the double agent? Drake's jaw clenched. That's what it looks like. But it isn't me. Sierra whispered, then who? Drake tapped the screen again, overlaying 2 profiles, his and the imposter's. Almost identical. But one had a small scar across his left eyebrow. Leonard pointed. That scar. That's not you. Drake nodded. No. That's my brother. Silence. Sierra blinked. You have a twin brother who's also a spy? Drake exhaled. Had. He went rogue years ago. Took the name Mason Trill. Leonard's jaw dropped. Wait, Trill's your brother? You could have mentioned that earlier. Drake looked at him evenly. You weren't cleared for that information. Leonard threw his hands up. I wasn't cleared for any of this. Sierra leaned back, stunned. So this whole thing was family drama? Drake nodded grimly. A very dangerous one. Leonard snorted. I swear, this is just a Thanksgiving dinner with guns. Drake explained the rest. Mason Trill had faked his death years ago, infiltrated private corporations, and built an underground network selling classified intel to the highest bidder. Holden was just a middleman. The briefcase Leonard picked up had been meant to expose Trill, but instead, it dragged an unsuspecting office worker into the mission. So, Leonard said slowly, I wasn't unlucky. I was, plot convenient. Drake gave a faint smirk. Something like that. Sierra nudged him. See? You were destined for this. Leonard rolled his eyes. Yeah, destiny clearly has a weird sense of humor. Before they could wrap up, an agent rushed in. Sir. We got an encrypted message from Trill's location. He's offering to talk, but only to Vale. Leonard blinked. Me? Oh no. No, no, no. I'm out. I've done my hero thing. I'm retired. Drake crossed his arms. He's your final piece, Vale. He wants to talk because you're the only one who beat him. Sierra smirked. With hand sanitizer. Leonard groaned. Can we not keep bringing that up? They set up the call in a secure room. Trill's face appeared on screen, bruised, smirking, eerily calm. Mr. Vale, he said, voice smooth as oil. Congratulations. You win. Leonard crossed his arms. Cool. Can I cash in for an all-expenses-paid nap? Trill chuckled. You're entertaining. Shame you're on the wrong side. Drake stood in the corner, silent. Trill leaned closer to the camera. You know, you remind me of someone I once knew. A man who thought ordinary life was boring. Deep down, he wanted excitement. Adventure. Recognition. Leonard frowned. What's your point? Trill smiled. Be careful what you wish for, Mr. Vale. Because now, you'll never be ordinary again. The screen went black. Silence filled the room. Leonard stared at the blank monitor. Well. That's not ominous at all. Drake turned to him. He's right, you know. After all this, you're in the system now. You've seen too much. Leonard groaned. Please don't say I have to join the agency. Drake smirked. No. You're too unpredictable. But we might, call you again. Sierra elbowed him. Congrats, Agent Accident. He sighed. If you need me, I'll be in therapy. As they left the room, Sierra smiled. You know, you did good. Leonard grinned faintly. Yeah. But next time someone hands me a briefcase, I'm throwing it straight in the trash. Drake's voice echoed as he walked away. Let's hope there isn't a next time. Leonard muttered, with my luck? There will be. 3 weeks later, the world went quiet again, or at least as quiet as it could get for someone who'd accidentally exposed a national smuggling ring using staplers and sarcasm. Leonard Vale, accidental hero, unintentional agent, and part-time chaos magnet, was finally back at his desk. Same gray walls. Same flickering light. Same microwave that screamed like a dying bird. Except now, when he microwaved leftovers, 3 people from internal security had to approve it first. Across from him, Sierra leaned against a desk, scrolling through her phone. So, congratulations, you're famous. He frowned. Oh, please tell me you're joking. Nope, she said, grinning. You're trending as #Office007. Someone even made a remix of you yelling, that's not my briefcase. It's kind of catchy. Leonard groaned. This is exactly how I didn't want fame. Sierra shrugged. Could be worse. You could have died. Wow, he said flatly. You should write greeting cards. Drake entered the office without warning, trench coat swaying dramatically as always. He looked like someone who had auditioned for Men in Black and never got over it. Vale, he said. It's over. Leonard blinked. Define over. Trill's been caught. That made Leonard sit up straight. Seriously? Drake nodded. Interpol found him in Prague. Tried to run, got cornered in a bakery. Sierra smirked. Appropriate. He had a thing for pastries. Drake ignored her. He's being extradited. Holden's in custody too. The entire operation is dismantled. Leonard exhaled slowly, like a balloon losing caffeine instead of air. So, that's it. The case is closed. Drake gave a small, approving nod. You did good work, Vale. Even if it was completely unintentional. Story of my life, Leonard said. A week later, he found himself summoned to headquarters, a sleek, gray building that looked like it had never experienced laughter. Inside, agents moved in perfect synchronization, like caffeinated chess pieces. Leonard, in his wrinkled shirt and coffee-stained tie, looked like someone's lost intern. Drake led him to a small office. On the desk sat a manila folder stamped case closed. Drake opened it, flipping through pages. Vale, you'll be happy to know your record's been cleared. You're officially normal again. Leonard blinked. Officially normal? That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Drake smirked faintly. But? Leonard groaned. There's always a but. Drake slid a small card across the table. It read, in case of extreme stupidity or espionage, call this number. Leonard frowned. This looks like something you'd give to a drunk superhero. Drake said, think of it as a safety measure. You've proven resourceful. The agency might need that again. Leonard crossed his arms. You mean you'll need someone dumb enough to confuse a spy's briefcase for their lunch? Drake didn't deny it. Back at the office, Sierra was waiting. She smiled when he walked in. So, did they knight you or wipe your memory? Neither, he said. They gave me a hotline for dumb emergencies. Sounds about right, she teased. He laughed. You know what the funny part is? I kind of miss it. Sierra raised an eyebrow. The danger? The excitement, he corrected. For a few days, my life wasn't just about spreadsheets and invoices. It was chaos. Beautiful, terrifying chaos. She grinned. You really are addicted to disasters. He shrugged. I prefer to call it character development. A few hours later, the office lights dimmed. Everyone left except Leonard, who sat at his desk with one last file, the official case report. He flipped through it slowly, the pages filled with names, codes, and his own accidental heroics. At the end, he found a small note unsigned. The world doesn't need perfect heroes. Just curious ones. He smiled faintly. Well, mission accidentally accomplished. He took out his personal recorder, a cheap little thing he used for to-do lists, and hit record. His voice was calm, slightly amused. Final report. Case, the accidental spy. It turns out, I wasn't chosen for this mission. I just happened to be the idiot standing closest to the plot. But somehow, it worked. The bad guys are caught. The agency's cleaned up. And I finally have something more interesting to talk about at office parties than printer malfunctions. Maybe being ordinary isn't so bad, as long as you don't mistake someone else's briefcase. Because then, well, you might just save the world by accident. He clicked the recorder off and leaned back in his chair. The office hummed softly. For the first time in weeks, everything was still. He closed the manila folder, stamped case closed, and muttered under his breath. Let's never do that again. Just as he stood to leave, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He froze. Then, sighing deeply, he picked up. Leonard Vale speaking. Please tell me this isn't another briefcase situation. A calm voice replied, Mr. Vale, how do you feel about international travel? He stared at the phone. You've got to be kidding me. 6 months later. Leonard Vale had finally achieved what he once dreamed of, total normalcy. No code words, no mysterious phone calls, no trench coats lurking in the copier room. Just spreadsheets, stale coffee, and the occasional existential crisis about printer ink. He'd even started a podcast, Average Intelligence, where he ranted about office life and occasionally dropped spy jokes no one believed were true. Life, for once, was simple. One rainy afternoon, he was at his favorite coffee shop, the same one where this whole disaster began, scrolling through emails and pretending to work. The barista called out, latte for Leonard. He stood, reached for the counter, and froze. Right next to his cup sat a black leather briefcase. Identical to the one that had started everything. He stared at it like it was a venomous snake in business casual form. Then he looked around the shop. No one suspicious. No trench coats. No Drake. Still, his pulse quickened. Not again, he whispered. Not today, Satan. He carefully slid the briefcase away from his drink like it was radioactive. Excuse me, he called to the barista. Someone left there. Mine, said a calm voice behind him. Leonard turned and nearly dropped his coffee. It was Sierra, in a dark blazer, smirking. Well, she said. Still paranoid, huh? He blinked. You can't just sneak up on people with a spy briefcase. She grinned. Old habits. Relax, it's just a laptop. And maybe a top-secret flash drive. But mostly a laptop. He rolled his eyes. I swear, every time I see leather now, I get PTSD. Sierra laughed and slid into the seat across from him. You look good, Vale. Civilian life suits you. Yeah, he said. I'm thriving. My biggest mission this week was fixing an Excel formula. Sounds thrilling. He smirked. Yeah, my life's a non-stop adrenaline rush. She sipped her coffee. Drake says hi, by the way. He's considering retirement. Leonard raised an eyebrow. Retirement? The man is retirement. I've never seen anyone more allergic to joy. Sierra laughed. You're not wrong. But he did say something interesting. Oh no, Leonard muttered. Every time that man talks, I end up in danger. She leaned forward, teasing smile softening. He said if we ever get into trouble again, he'd want you on his team. Leonard snorted. That's either a compliment or a cry for help. Sierra tilted her head. Maybe both. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, the hum of the coffee shop wrapping around them. Then Sierra stood, grabbing her briefcase. I should go. Real mission this time. Stay alive, Leonard said, half joking, half serious. She smiled over her shoulder. You too, Agent Accident. And just like that, she was gone. Leonard stared at his coffee, then down at his desk bag. Ordinary, boring, perfectly unimportant. He smiled faintly. You know what? I'm good. He took a slow sip and muttered under his breath. Case officially closed. For real this time. But as he stood to leave, he noticed a small note slipped under his laptop. It wasn't there before. He unfolded it. Scrawled in neat, block handwriting. Next time, bring sunscreen. D. Leonard groaned. Loudly. Unbelievable, he muttered, shoving the note into his pocket. As he walked out into the rain, he added under his breath. I really need a new coffee shop.